Hello and welcome to another coaster cutout video. I hope you enjoyed Manta. So now we're moving on to Thunderbird. Kind of on a B&M streak here. So this is part one. We're going to be just assembling this little guy. I'm just going for having one of each different type of coaster model. So this is going to cover my bases for having a wing coaster. I'm excited because this one isn't nearly as complicated as Manta was to paint, and that's pretty relieving. So yeah, it's time now that we go ahead, get this guy out of the box, and start assembling. Step one here is going to be to assemble the wheels. Honestly, probably one of my least favorite parts about these projects here. Move that off of here. The wheels are going to be on this second page. And we're going to go ahead and get all those wheel pieces punched out. Whew, that was quite a few pieces here. So we're just going to go ahead, get all these little guys organized so that we can start putting them together. I've got a couple of notes here when we get started. So we want to make sure with this piece that we have the short end facing down. You'll also want to pay attention to the sizes of the holes on these pieces. These pieces here with the larger holes go on first, followed by the wheel, which is going to have that same larger sized hole, and then ended by the one with the smallest sized hole here. Just like that, that lines up beautifully. And then for the middle one, it doesn't really matter. We're just gonna take two of these. We go one up at the top. To end this out, we're gonna go ahead, start with the larger one of these pieces. You're gonna want that more pointy looking end facing down, that flatter end facing up. Go ahead, slide that on. Then we're gonna do same exact thing with this one. And end it out with this one. And repeat. And now after all that, it's time that we go ahead and do the seats. So we're just gonna put those off to the side. Scoot this back on over here. So the main seat parts are gonna be on page number 2. We got for step 2, we're just going to be using like these basic backs of the seats, the bottoms of the seats, and then on page 3 we're going to be using these guys. These instructions I wouldn't say are the best they've done. I think it's a little less clear what pieces are what. You gotta kind of hunt around like, oh yeah, that's what I need 2, yeah. Yeah, we'll go ahead, get those punched out, and get those seats together. That was nice and easy. So to assemble these seats, well, that'll be easy as well. We just align these guys, which it's interesting because they look all perfectly lined up, but they're not quite perfectly identical, but that is a-okay. Then we're just gonna go ahead, get that back of the seat on right there. Nice and easy. We'll just get this seat on here. My biggest fear in working on these is that one day I'm gonna break a piece. And then we just repeat. Step number 3 is nice and easy. It's just going to be putting the armrests onto the seats, so we can push those out of the way. Go ahead and get those punched out and put on. The armrests here are on the second page. Alright, that wasn't too bad. So, step number 4 is going to be to put the restraints together. So, let's go ahead. We're going to be grabbing these. We'll start. We got the first part of the restraint, which is going to be these pieces. We won't need these guys yet. And page 2, and then the rest of the restraint pieces are here on page 3. So, let's go ahead and get all those punched out and put together. That, I cannot express to you how much of a pain that was. So to go ahead and get these restraints assembled, there's no wrong side or right side up for these pieces. So we're gonna go ahead and start. These were the most difficult I've ever had. Anyway. That went in nice and easily. And then we'll just take one of these guys on each side. And we're gonna do that on the other side and then repeat it 3 more times. Alright, I have to admit that was easier than I expected, minus one of the last ones I did. So step number 6 would be to go ahead and put these on the seats, but I'm gonna leave them off because of the painting. But just for demonstration purposes, it's just gonna rest on these 2 little ledge type looking pieces right here. Yeah, this is gonna be fun to get on once I paint. Oh my gosh, because it's gonna be a tight squeeze. So yes, that would be step 6, is to put these on all of the seats. I'm just gonna kind of, I guess, lightly get them on there just to kind of keep everything together and not have a giant mess on my kind of tiny table that I use to do this. This is step 5. Sorry, this is step 5. I swear I said step 6. And then for step 6, we're just gonna come here and move on from number 1 to number 2. And then on number 3 right here, we're just gonna punch out these pieces and attach them onto the backs of the seats. You know, I honestly think what's going on here these are not wanting to go all the way in. I think that they've kind of fixed issues with some of these past coaster cutouts where some of the pieces just slide out way too easily. But that has the trade-off that now it seems like it's just been made excessively hard, so I'm gonna get these all the way on off camera. Different camera angle here, I'm just holding the phone. I wanna show you, so it's hard to see, but you wanna have it kind of lined up right about there. So I thought I'd show you what I've been doing to kind of get it in there, because it is hard. I've been holding it up against this edge of my table here, and just pushing down as hard as I possibly can. So that's the winning technique here. Step number 7, we're gonna go ahead, bring these out, and we're gonna finally finish off this one. We can go ahead and throw this out. We're just gonna take all these off. I'm not gonna be assembling this portion yet. Again, because of the painting, I'm just probably gonna lightly get them on there. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way before we start working on the train. Okay, let's be real here. Regardless of all this stuff, we're most excited to work on the actual train. So let's go ahead here and get started with step number 8. So we are gonna go ahead and get started with sheet number 1. We're gonna go ahead and just take off this piece, or this piece, doesn't particularly matter, they are identical. Go ahead and take that out. For this step here, to complete step number 8, we're gonna go ahead and take this second sheet and this overeager piece, and we're just gonna put these two together. When in doubt, always use the table. Alrighty, so for step number 9, we're gonna be back on sheet 2 and we're gonna be getting these guys out. And then we're gonna go ahead and go back to sheet number 1 and get this second piece out. And simply put this one on the top. Alright, that's not too bad. Just go one at a time down the sides, each side, and just keep on working and squeezing them until you get something that works. So step 11 isn't the most clear thing, so let me take any guesswork out of this for you. We're going to be using this piece off sheet number 1 right here, and we're going to be using this piece also, sheet number 1. Bam, just like that. And then this one, I think it's safe to say, is not rocket science, and these two just go together. I always just take off these little annoying tags. And then step number 12 is just going to take these two little pieces off of the corner of sheet 1. No, not the big one. The larger pieces always want to come out really easily, and then the smaller the pieces, well, the less that it wants to come out. And then they just slide in. $13, that big piece fell out. We're going to be taking this one right here. I just flung a piece of that into my eye. This one is super simple. It's just going to go into the here. And then we're going to just take these two headlight looking things And this is gonna be that step 14. Step number 15 is up next, and this one's always exciting because it's gonna be this nice long piece. And this just goes right here. We're gonna break this piece out again. And this is just gonna go on these two right there. The trick is though that you do wanna leave a gap at the front here because we're gonna be sliding that piece that we were just working on right in front of it. And then when we look at it this way, we're just gonna go ahead and then slot this in right here. I'll be honest, for some reason, step number 18 was really confusing for me to look at, but it's just this piece and this piece. The important thing to remember is that they're not identical. They're mirrored images of each other, so there's a right side and a wrong side. They're on sheet number 1. You want to make sure that you've got that wider part kind of at the bottom there. And then we're going to go ahead and just slide it in here, and you can see it'll connect right there into those two holes. Step number 19, we're going to be using these two angular pieces right here on sheet number 2. We're so close, we only have 2 pieces left on it after we're done with these. And then we're gonna turn this upside down. It's facing this way there in the instructions. And then we're just gonna go ahead and fit these on both sides, angled just like this. Moving on to step number 20 sees us finishing up with sheet number 3 using these last 2 pieces. And for these, we're just gonna add these edges onto the other side of the wing. So I mean, that's pretty simple. You just kind of want to match it up, make sure it's facing the same way as it is on the wing as the other one. And then these go in fairly easily, I think. It's definitely easiest to start at this small end, work your way down. And then we're gonna be using these pieces off of sheet number 1. I'd also like to note, I actually noticed something kind of funny. On step number 18, you can see that there's clearly steps here that we have not done yet. Those are on the last page, so there was a bit of an error there with that. And then these are going to do what you might be able to guess, which is just finish off and enclose these sides of the train. Step number 22 is going to be using a couple pieces off page 1 here. We're going to be using these nice basic rectangles. I almost tried to call these squares. We're just going to be covering up these spaces right here. I have to admit, 23 is not exactly an obvious step. And then we're going to be needing this piece right here. So we're going to flip this upside down like so, and then we're going to go ahead and get these pieces on. We're going to have one that goes on right here. It's going to connect there. And then we're going to have this center piece that's going to connect right there. Okay, so I have made 2 realizations. Number 1, I put the armrests on upside down. You want that little bump to be at the top, so I'm gonna fix that off camera. And then I also realized in step number 18, when we put these in, I forgot a step. I was wondering why I had some extra parts here. So it's gonna be these little tiny guys. These, however, are a nice and easy step. We're just gonna get those in here on each side just like that. Now we are gonna finish step number 24 real quick. I almost forgot. We need this one off of sheet number 1. And I have gone and fixed the armrests on those seats. They look a little worse for the wear, not gonna lie. And you want to be really careful with this to make sure that the orientation is correct. For 25, we're just gonna be going right here and adding this piece off of sheet number 1. And then this one is just gonna slide right in here. All right, so we're now on to step number 26, which I am not going to be doing yet because we're getting pretty much to the end of this here and I gotta paint it before I can fully assemble it. But the step would be to go ahead and put the wheels on, and then they fit on right here just like this on each of these sides here. So that would be step number 26 if you were to just be assembling, not painting or anything. Step number 27 is going to be to get this actually kind of neat looking piece on, and then to get this little piece on. And that is it for sheet number 1, floor. So it's just going to go right here. And then we want to be careful here with the orientation of this piece. That's what we're going to do. We're going to put that slightly longer end at the front. We want those circles to be nice and lined up. And then this just slides right in. Now step 28 would be to be attaching the seats. Here we are with the armrest facing the correct way. The seats are just going to attach right here on just a single little point there. So these seats actually are going to be fairly easy to get in, I think. So moving along, I'm not doing that yet because I gotta paint them. We have one more sheet left, totally untouched. And that is, of course, our stand. So we can go ahead and push that train back, which I love the design of. I know it's simple, but it works. Yeah, on the stands, it just always falls right out. By the way, this is, I'd say, probably the first time that I've ever actually gotten one of these assembly videos filmed in the same day. This is all filmed on one single day, which is really, really rare for these videos. So for the stand assembly, we're gonna go ahead. It looks like they want you to put this one first. This one is gonna slide in here. And then the final step is to put this here. And let me get all that put together nicely in a time lapse. All right, we have done it. I can't believe that I assembled one of these in one day. The final step is obviously to put everything, the coaster, on top of this base, and you simply put it on like so. But I'm not gonna be doing that at the moment. But oh my gosh, that already looks so cool. It is fairly wide. Look at that sucker. So this next video is going to be painting this. I'm going to post the link in the description below once I've gotten that all taken care of, which who knows how long that's gonna take me. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this hopefully instructional video on assembling my very challenging Thunderbird coaster cutout. And I'll see you in my next coaster cutout video.